So, Chief of Staff John Kelly is billed as one of the adults in the room around Donald Trump. Now, this is one of the guys who ensures that Donald Trump, at the very least, does not accidentally blow up the world. Okay, good to have an adult in the room. Now, I've got a lot of problems with John Kelly, his views on, for example, immigrants and all that. He's not a good guy, okay? But nonetheless, he has made sure that the president hasn't actually nuked anyone so far, so I guess that's good. You take the good with the bad, I guess, right? Now, the rest of the media refers to John Kelly in much the same way that I just did. Now, that could end up actually being a little problematic, as the president has a very thin skin and doesn't like the idea that someone else around him might actually be smarter, might actually know more than he does, because the president's like, I'm the smartest person ever. What do I need experts for? I know more than all the other experts. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. I'm the smartest. Oh, look at my score. I got a 30 out of 30 on this recent test. You realize that test is actually testing for dementia and Alzheimer's. Hey, congratulations. You don't have early onset dementia or Alzheimer's. Wonderful, but that does not mean that you're smart. Anyway, but of course he's going to brag about that. Now, this whole thing with John Kelly brings us to Axios' Jonathan Swan. Now, he recently spoke to a source close to the president about a recent interview that John Kelly had. This is with Bret Baier. Now, in it, the source predicted that Donald Trump would be very, very angry at what his chief of staff had said. And I'm going to tell you that, I'm going to tell you if that ends up being true, but first I want to show you the video.
As we talked about things, where this president is and how much he wants to deal with this DACA issue and take it away, I told him that, there's been an evolutionary process that this president has gone through as a campaign, and I pointed out to all of the members that were in the room that they all say things during the course of campaigns that may or may not be fully informed. But this president, if you've seen what he's done, he has changed the way he's looked at a number of things. He's adjusted the way he's looked at the South Asia strategy, Afghanistan. He's very definitely changed his attitude towards the DACA issue. And even the wall, once we briefed him when I was at DHS and told him that the real experts on defending the southwest border, the Customs and Border Protection men and women, came in, did a survey of the border. There are places where hydrographically, geographically, a wall would not be realistic. There are other parts of the southwest border that are so wild and untamed that there is no traffic that goes through them. There's other places, we think about 800 miles additional wall to include the 600 that are already in place. The fencing would suffice. So he has evolved in the way he's looked at things. Campaign to governing are two different things, and this president is very, very, very flexible in terms of what is within the realm of the possible.
All right, so that's Kelly. Now, obviously, Donald Trump watches a lot of Fox News. He's watched about 68 hours of television a day and has special executive time where he eats McDonald's in bed and watches Fox and Friends. But this is a Bret Baier show. But again, with Trump, he watches when his surrogates go on TV. And of course, John Kelly is representative of the Trump administration. So he saw this, right? Now, to normal people, I think that makes a lot of sense, what he said. Campaign and governing. Hey, look, sometimes when you're, or all the time, when you're running a political campaign, you promise certain things that aren't really easy to get done. Normal people understand that. But again, Donald Trump, look, we're not dealing with a normal person when we're dealing with Donald Trump. So Jonathan Swan writes this. He said, late last night, after a few hours after Fox News aired Bret Baier's interview with John Kelly, a source close to the president told me that Trump would explode when he saw what his chief of staff said. The source, who had spent a lot of time with Trump, predicted the president would hate the interview because Kelly came off as a mature professional who patiently educated, and this is important, who patiently educated an uninformed Trump and helped him see the light and evolve on the wall. All right. So when dealing with somebody like Donald Trump, there's a couple of rules, right? Well, rule number one, don't make Trump sound or look stupid. So when you say he was uninformed on an issue, Well, that immediately takes away from Trump's assertions that he is the smartest person in the room. So when you say, no, well, I had to go and talk to him, I had to have the experts talk to him, because he may or may not have been not as well informed on the issue. Red flag. Red flag. Not good. Not only that, but of course, when he has a position, you don't speak for him and say that you have evolved on this issue, right? You don't do that, okay? Now, of course, hours later, President Trump comes out and he says on Twitter, and this is a direct rebuke of what John Kelly had just said. He said, "The wall is the wall. It has never changed or evolved from the first day I conceived of it. Parts will be of necessity see-through, a transparent wall." You should get working on that transparent aluminum. I think we already actually have it now. And it was never intended to be built in areas where there is natural protection, such as mountains, wastelands, or tough rivers or water. No, that's not what he said. In fact, he was incredibly vague about the wall. He said, "Big, beautiful wall all along our southern border." He said, "I will build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me. Believe me. And then I'll build them very inexpensively. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will make Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words." Now, the part of the interview that we didn't get to, that was right after Kelly had stopped talking, Bret Baier asked him, he said, "So is Mexico going to pay for the wall?" And they're like, "Nope." Well, that's an evolution, right? That's not true. Because, originally, again, he said Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Mexico ain't paying for the wall. And so they've slowly dropped that. So he's not saying Mexico's going to pay for the wall. That's an evolution. So yes, Donald Trump has absolutely evolved from that position. But no, he comes back and says, no, I didn't evolve at all. It's been the same the whole time. He's a pathological liar, right? What's funny is if Mexico is going to pay for the wall, then why is he demanding for example, any DACA deal provide funding for the wall that Mexico is going to pay for? Again, so many inconsistencies, right? But he wasn't really all that specific on the wall, to be fair, right? It was very vague, so we didn't know what it looked like. He didn't even know what it looked like. All he was doing is saying, look, hey, wall, right? And then all of his supporters, the people in the audience who have no empathy for other people and who are extremely scared of brown people, are like, yeah, wall. So, to be fair, again, they fell for something that was never going to happen. It's incredibly vague. Okay. Now, Swan also writes, and this is important, "This is one of the first public signs we've seen of tension between Trump and his chief of staff. Last night, Kelly undercut Trump's self-perception as the most brilliant man on earth, an instant master of all subjects. The notion of evolution would be inherently offensive to him." And here's what the president's source had told Swan. Quote, "Kelly has finally ventured into Steve Bannon territory when it comes to trying to create the perception that he's a great manipulator, saving the country from Trump's ignorance. The difference is Steve tried to develop that reputation in off-the-record interviews and conversations with reporters. Kelly did it openly in the country's most watched cable network. It's the subtle difference between hubris and arrogance." Now, if that source is right, then John Kelly, he went too far. Now, let's go to Raw Story. Since this happened before, new reporting from Raw Story says that, and this is actually based on a Washington Post story, says that Donald Trump is now furious with John Kelly. Let's see. The president was reportedly needled by the tone Kelly took during a Fox News interview when he asked about the remarks. Trump's associates said the president was furious with Kelly both for what he said and the tone he used, which Trump thought made it appear he was a child who had to be managed. The word uninformed particularly rankled the president, who was commonly known to think of himself as a genius. Not only that, but they go to a quote from a longtime friend, Christopher Ruddy. Now, this is the Newsmax CEO. This isn't some liberal source. This is Donald Trump's friend, right? Now, he told the Post that Trump's rage towards Kelly was because he felt the retired general was speaking out of turn on an issue that was very dear to the president's base, immigration. So, Not good, man. Look, we know from past stories that Trump and Kelly have had some differences, right? However, since Kelly is still there, there's a chance that Kelly has picked up on ways in order to kiss Trump's ass. Now, nonetheless, with that perception out there, and that the president is now aware of that perception, that Kelly is the adult in the room and that he's the smart one that's informing a not-so-smart Donald Trump, if that perception continues, then this working relationship that they have in the White House, I think, in my opinion, will slowly degrade. And for that, I go to, look, they say that John Kelly has ventured into Bannon territory. Well, look at Bannon. He's the best example of this, right? I never would have thought that Bannon would have not only been fired, right, but thrown under the bus so hard by Trump, thanks to the quotes in Fire and Fury, right? I mean, and not only that, but Bannon himself got stripped of his platform by Breitbart, or on Breitbart, thanks to Donald Trump. So, look, man, no matter how close you may seem to the president, there is a good chance that you say one or two wrong things, you're done. With this president, anything can happen. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.